The unfortunate signs of war are showing within the confines of the Oscovian border, bordering Restoran Power. Restoran Power has declared total war on our Oscovians. They will do nothing short to take our land for their own, even if they have to spend 1,000 men, 10,000 men, 100,000. If they send 10,000 men and we chop them all down, they will simply demand 20,000 more. If those 20,000 men get killed, they will simply demand for more lives to be tossed for nothing. From riflemen, medics, engineers, men, women, husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, daughters, and brothers, siblings, colleagues, teachers, people who used to work together will now learn how to die together. In one of the most bloodiest conflicts ROBLOX has ever seen. No matter how many men Restoran forces have compared to the Oscovian Empire, one thing is for certain. Despite who has the sun, thousands will die on each side. This town is liberated for now, but in less than a short day, this town will have been lost to the Restoran Empire, as they would shell the despite the fact of civilian lives living here. The Restoran dogs do not believe anything short of humanity. If it steps in the way of their way to power, they will crush it. No matter the war crimes they commit, no matter the level of cruelty, no matter how many innocent civilian lives will die, the Restoran dogs see nothing short of human life but as sacrificial pawns. In a war where commanding generals from the safety of their own countries relay orders to the frontline officers, people on the front lines would come to grow to believe that the corrupt government is a corrupt government, and there is no winning in a corrupt government. No one wins, no one gains, and no one loses, all but Parliament. If Parliament loses 100,000 men, they will simply demand 100,000 more, and if they unfortunately lose that 100,000 men, they will simply ask for more. No matter how many lives we toss at enemies, no matter how many times we try to liberate towns, no matter how many civilians we'll try to save, if we die, we're simply just another tick. Another tally mark. Another death count. Us medics. Us frontline officers. The senior enlisted. The engineer corps consisted of hard-working, brave young women. Riflemen who know that their life expectancy as a rifleman is only just 3 days, but they still choose to grab the rifle and charge the enemy in hopes that maybe we can end the war faster if we all fight together. But there's only one true thing in war. War War itself never changes. War will never end. The only thing that changes is how we fight it. How wars are fought. Every generation we spend new ways to invent new ways to kill people. Instead of learning how to collaborate our countries, we would rather spend decades pointing our own guns against each other. Only until the last artillery shell is fired. Only until the last hails of bullets were shown. Until all 300 riflemen shoot down one another. Once it's down to the final rifleman on both sides of the coin, only then will the light shine through the darkness. This is a trench warfare game on Roblox, inspired by the real harsh realities of trench warfare. Let's just take a minute to remember the Great War in numbers. Over 60 million men at arms. Over 1 million machine guns. Over 1 billion artillery shells, 50 billion bullets. Human lives would be collectively lost at a rate of 6,000 men per day. Over 60 million men that raised their rifles in order to fight for their countries. About 40 million of those men, women, sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, teachers, all normal human beings volunteering for the greater good of the war effort, would be sent to die at a rate of 6,000 men a day. The average life expectancy for a frontline soldier was 11 weeks. The average frontline officer life expectancy was just 6. The average lifetime expectancy for a frontline engineer was about 2 weeks. The average lifespan for a Tommy, aka the people who run over the top, only 2 to 3 days. This war was costly on human life as we know, and it truly shaped the definition of why industrial warfare is so scary and so utterly terrifying against the better of humanity. Yes, this is just a game on Roblox. And yes, I do know that Roblox is based for kids. But this doesn't mean that this game doesn't deserve the homage it pays to all of our lost brothers and sisters on the battlefield. Died believing in themselves, believing in their commanders, even if their commanders didn't believe in themselves, or even if the commanders saw no value for human life, but as sacrificial pawns for a military game. It's not how you fight. It's not how you lead your men into battle. It's how you lead. It's how you believe. It's how you hold strong. The French would lose constantly. They lost pretty much every military engagement they've ever engaged with since Napoleon. The French have learned camaraderie from this. They are one of the very few nations on the planet who will stand together even through the thickest of storms. Because the French together are a mountain, and no matter how hard the wind howls, the French mountain shall never bow to it. Just remember the Great War numbers. In only a short span of 4 years, 42.5 million soldiers, friends, loved ones, husbands, wives, daughters, mothers, brothers, sons, would all be compelled to fight and will be ultimately killed, and for the name of what? Warfare. But war never changes. The only real thing that changes about war is how fast people die. Every day there's a new crazy invention that kills people faster than previous day. The only real winners of war of those who have lucky enough to been killed before they've seen another gauged conflict. Just remember, we exist now in more civilized territories in a world without an imperialistic monarchy in Germany, a world where Ottoman Empire was liberated, a world where the Tsar of Russia was stormed out and driven away. Things changed for the better. But at the cost of what? Millions? Do millions really have to die in order for military conflicts to see that no matter how many bullets they shell, compared to 100 or 100,000, it's still an act of war on humanity?